the Conservation Commission. Today, Wednesday, April 8th, 7 o'clock. The first item is a public hearing, proposed changes to the Upton Stormwater Bylaw, Chapter 242, and proposed changes to the Upton Stormwater Regulations, Chapter 325.
I can read the public hearing notice. The Upton Conservation Commission will conduct a public hearing pursuant to MGL Chapter 40A, Section 5, on Wednesday, April 8th, 2026 at 7 p.m. in Upton Town Hall, room G07, and remote via Zoom, to consider revisions to the Town of Upton Stormwater Management Bylaw, Chapter 242, as well as Town of Upton Regulations, Chapter 325, Stormwater, such to be submitted to the warrant for town meeting.
So what are we doing on this?
So, Tom, this is required that before this goes to town meeting, we have to offer a public hearing, and it has to be advertised, basically just for any input for townspeople to do it, and also for the board. I think we've looked at everything here, but I can just run through it since we're required to do this, and that way someone can watch on video if they want to and learn about what's going on. So this is what I sent to the town manager about the warrant. So basically the proposed changes are for the thresholds for our Upton Stormwater Bylaw. This bylaw was passed approximately 2 years ago because we were not in compliance with the state MS4. So the town hired a consultant to prepare a bylaw, basically off a pattern that they'd used before in other towns. It did not really reflect it wasn't terribly similar to our old bylaw, and it was a lot stricter. So we have tried it for about approximately a year and kind of working with it, and it just seems like it's maybe a little stricter than is necessary. And so we've made some changes. And this is under Article 3, applicability to basically the land disturbance section. And so this had been an error that the consultant made, that they did not include this statement here, or going directly or indirectly into a water course or into the waters of the Commonwealth. And that was meant to be included. This will make it so that Article 3 matches Article 2 where that statement is included. So this is just fixing an error. And then the thresholds that they had provided us with were 1,500 square feet and 20,000 square feet as the two kind of thresholds. And after talking it over with the board and working with it for a while, it just seems like those thresholds are kind of low. So we agreed to go to 5,000 and 1 acre for our thresholds. We did add a few other things because we're raising the thresholds. There's a concern that if there is a lot of impervious area, that would obviously impact for stormwater. So for impervious area and for lands that have greater than 15% slopes, it's kind of a lower threshold for that, but we've raised the general thresholds. It's just, it'll make it friendlier for builders. I know a lot of builders have been coming in and saying, well, this just seems crazy to do this for a small project or for a single family house. So with the change in thresholds, I think most single family houses will be able to get themselves under the threshold, and they won't require the state stormwater standards for just the construction of a single family house. But if you're over the acre, then you will get that. So that's the main thing. Our lawyer, when he was looking through, discovered that we had an incorrect citation in the bylaw. Under this section, it should be just a reference that needed to be fixed. So that's the bylaw. Maybe we should just stop and see if anyone has any questions or comments about that.
Any comments from members?
No.
Any comments from the audience? Do we have an audience?
That's a good question. I don't know that we have anyone other than, oh wait, we have a few more, but everyone else is here for hearings, basically.
Okay.
I'm not
All right,
sure that
so-
the consultants care about the stormwater bylaw.
All right, so do we need to vote on this or we good?
I think it would be good to vote that we approve this
Changes?
yeah, approve the memo that was submitted for the warrant.
Okay. Motion to approve the memo submitted for the warrant on the stormwater bylaw.
Second.
Did it first.
Oh, you're right. I will make that motion then.
Second.
Second, okay. Vote, I guess I'll vote. Tom, I.
Alan, I.
Sandy, I.
Shannon, I.
Marcella, I.
Motion passes, unanimous vote of the members present.
Yeah, so
Um,
also on the agenda is the updated stormwater regulations. And I've been back and forth with a lawyer on this, and it's mostly the same stuff. But he actually had a suggestion, which it's not actually finalized, so I don't think, unfortunately, we can approve these yet. But this does not go before town meeting, so we can always bring this up at another time and fix it. Or maybe we can approve this section. Let's do that, because that part, it's the same thing we looked at in the bylaw. So Section 5, applicability of article, oh, no, just Section 5 applicability. If we can approve this section, then it'll be consistent with what we did for the bylaw.
A motion to approve the section 5's changes to section 5 or amendments to section 5.
I make the motion to make to accept the proposed changes to the Upton Stormwater Regulation, Chapter 325.
Second.
All in favor? Tom, I.
Alan, I.
Sandy, I.
Shannon, I.
Marcella, I. And I got to get back with him about the site visits, which was something else. So
Motion passes unanimous vote of the commission members present. So the 720 is we need to hold off on that, I guess, because it's 708. So we want to do administrator's report.
sure. See if I printed it out. Yes, I did. No pictures though. So the Little League fields behind the VFW. Did I talk about this last week? I don't think so. No.
I'm
All
cutting
right.
I read that report,
Yeah.
cutting the brush back.
Yes. Yeah, so I met with them and they are pretty close to the wetland. So I did give them permission to just cut around the bleachers and clean that out. But there's one section that I thought was too close and I asked them to file an RDA for that part. I also gave them permission to just go along the fence and create a path so that on the outside of the fence, so that vegetation's not growing in. He's got poison ivy growing onto the field and kids are throwing balls over there. So it seemed appropriate to clean that section out. Again, it's pretty close to the wetland, but some of it's invasive species as well. So I told him he could do that without filing those specific things. And then and maybe Lauren knows more about this than I do. There's been a lot going on with 47 Main Street. The trees are down. Some of the neighbors are complaining that they took too many trees. And it is true, John Mastrioni had showed me on the site visit that he planned to take 2 large white pines, huge white pines, that they were going to be left as the only 2 trees between the neighbor and the new building. But he was concerned that, leaving them single by themselves, that they were going to be a danger to his building, not to mention the neighbors. The neighbors are upset because it was screening. I don't know how much screening it was because these trees are so big, it's just a trunk and then there's leaf at the top. So in my opinion, I think it was okay. The trees would have been hazardous. They're going to be hazardous at some day, and they're just huge. But the neighbors are upset. You know, Lobusar is talking about doing planting plans and stuff like that. It's true, nothing was given to them in writing, and so the neighbor's like, well, I didn't do proper protocol. So that may come up at some point. But I feel like it was a good decision at the time. The trees are huge, but it is true. It's you know, it is. They were, I don't know, 10 feet from this person's property line. So that was. Oh, and at the last site visit, we had noted that kind of ponded area that was outside the wetland delineation. I looked at it with my auger, and it is all upland soil. And I guess I asked John about the wetland. He said he would ask his consultant to do a little write-up on what they found as well. I guess they did a site visit, so I think that's positive. And I think you saw via email that they're submitting their SWIP reports, and we're putting them on the website so the neighbors can see what's going on there. I think that's kind of the major news. Yep.
You wanna, do the meeting minutes, sign documents or anything?
Yeah, we can. Let me share it. Sure, I need to join the meeting from my personal account. I sent the meeting minutes out yesterday, I believe. Did everyone get a chance to look at them?
Yeah.
Were there any comments? I know Mike Panko sent some comments, so I added those in. Not sure if everyone was able to see those as well.
I'm just looking at Mike's proposed edits now.
I can share it in moments. Okay. Alright, so here are the minutes. I don't remember exactly what Mike had edited. I think it was just a better description of what the work entailed at the Peppercorn Hill Boardwalk site and the size of the bridge, and these might not actually be the most updated minutes. Anyways, as long as everyone saw Mike Panko's edits, then I think that's what should be voted on.
Motion to approve the minutes 3/25 as amended.
Second.
First. All those, in favor, Tom, I.
Ellen, I.
Sandy, I.
Ann and I.
Marcella, I.
Motion passes, unanimous, of the commission members present.
And Mike had a note here that to remind us to close the hearing, issue a negative determination for the Peppercorn RDA.
Yes, I don't believe the last hearing was officially closed, but it was, RDA was issued, so. Just, I believe for Valley, we should make sure that the hearings are closed.
Can I make a
Do you want to do that now?
Mary, what do you think? Does that have to be closed officially?
First you gotta open it, then you gotta close it. Well, we didn't close it, so it's been
So it's
open.
been open. Right, so,
Right, what about for actually speaking of closing hearings, should we close the public hearing for the bylaw?
Mhm.
Okay, motion to close the public hearing for the bylaw.
So moved.
Second,
Tom, I.
Alan, aye.
Sandy, I.
Dan and I.
Marcella, I.
Motion approved by unanimous vote of members present. Do you want to do the one we didn't close out, we just talked about?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to close the Peppercorn RDA with a negative determination.
So,
Second,
all in favor, Tom, I.
Alan, aye.
Sandy, I.
Dan and I.
Marcella, I.
Motion passes from members, unanimous by members present.
Alright, and then we've got the expense voucher, so just legal ad payments. It was a lot because we have 3 public hearings today, not including the stormwater bylaw, which had to be advertised twice. And then there's mileage, so the total is $493.44.
Motion to approve expenses.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor, I mean, Tom, I.
Alan, aye.
All in favor.
Sandy, I.
Dan and I.
Marcella, I.
Motion passes. Unanimous vote of commission members present.
Alright, and then here's the balance sheet, not much has changed. As usual. And then here are the obligations. I think we've gotten like an order confirmation for the Sweetland Park sign, but not an actual invoice yet. Something like that, so we can anticipate that soon. Yeah.
So, can you back, it says obligations. The beaver expenses, that's for replacing the Southborough. Do you know what that's?
I think those were the annual expenses that Mary and I had added up from previous years.
Okay,
I'm not sure.
okay, that's
That's
fine,
subtracted.
it's fine, if it's a maintenance or whatever. I was just curious.
Yeah, we've spent 1,600 so far out of our beaver fund.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if that was included in here. I'll have to go back and look.
It's okay. Just wanna make sure we have enough money to replace Southborough Road.
Right, it's almost 7:20.
Yeah, anything else we can get done in 2 minutes?
Not sure that we can get done in 2 minutes, but something that's not on the agenda was, well, we have 2 items. I got 2 calls this week about tree removal. One of them is just regular residential hazardous trees. Mary will probably do a site visit and then they can be removed. And then the other one is for 80 Mechanic Street, which is right next to the District 9 schoolhouse area and parking lot. And they'll need to close the parking lot for that tree removal. And they've coordinated with the Upton Police already, but I wanted to talk to the Conservation Commission about how to go about that, and Mary thinks we might have to talk to SVT about it. So we can discuss that later, because it might take longer than 1 minute.
Yeah, so, that guy came, the gentleman from Tubman came into the DPW office, and I told him that he could go.
Okay, well, he did so good.
Yeah, no, he was, so in any case, they're taking a tree down off the Knott property. Apparently pretty tall, and they would like to use, they're requesting to use the driveway. And they'll essentially have to close it for a day. They will have a detail there as well, because apparently the equipment is large enough that it's going, and the tree is tall enough that it's going to require that. And like I said, I told him we love the Knotts. We'd probably let him do that, but he needed to check with the DPW. I'm sorry, with the conservation. Commission. Yes, and I thought the same thing. We might need at least a SVT know what we're doing.
Okay. All right, well, 7:20. We have a hearing for the NOI for 0 Mechanic Street. Senior housing community, a duplex of 16 units within 200 feet of the riverfront area. Continued from March 11th.
We have Travis Brown from Turning Point Engineering.
Yep.
On the
Hi, good evening. Travis Brown with Turning Point Engineering. Here on behalf of the applicant. Just an update since the last meeting. We have been working with the peer review consultant, Arthur Allen. He is reviewing the wetland delineation and the notice of intent on behalf of the Conservation Commission. So we've had some back and forth with our Goddard consultant had done the wetland delineation on the project. That report was part of the notice of intent. So that's what Art reviewed. So when Art went out there, and I think this was a concern of Mary and maybe the commission too, that perennial stream stopped short of where it was depicted on the plan and delineated by Goddard. We have essentially taken that portion off of the plan. I don't know if I am able to share my screen here, Lauren.
I think you can try. I think it should work.
So can everybody see that?
Mhm.
Yep. So here's the location that we're talking about. So this is kind of the southern portion of the site, if you will. The perennial stream comes from north to south. Previously, this stream was depicted down here. It came into Baker Pond and then stopped somewhere in this location. Based on conversations with Goddard, who still believes that that should be delineated as perennial, DEP thought that maybe that should be looked at too. Based on a phone call with Art and Tom Scholes from Goddard, Art's not buying it. He's dug his heels in and he doesn't agree. So based on that information, rather than try to fight it, we have taken that off. That in turn reduces the overall riverfront area on site, which impacts, what we're trying to disturb to stay under the 10%. Since the last meeting, and I know nothing has been shared formally with the Conservation Commission, but I would like to at least just show kind of where we're at. So this is the plan, looks very similar to what we were proposing initially. We did have a stormwater basin in this location here. I have since taken that out because that saves a good amount of disturbance within the riverfront, provides even more than the 100-foot no disturb, more like 120 now. So that's the change that we made. So rather than capturing stormwater here, and it was being infiltrated, it wasn't discharged, but we're going to swale it to a pipe here, take it to this basin, which will essentially overflow to this basin. Nothing leaves the site. No stormwater basin, going towards the rear, towards that stream. So overall, it's a reduction of disturbance within the riverfront based on the new riverfront area on site. If you take out these stormwater features, which is this infiltration trench and then this swale, we are under the 10%. So that's where we stand as of now with respect to riverfront. One thing that also came up in Art's review is the town bylaw. Let me zoom in here. So the town bylaw protects any ponds greater than 20,000 square feet. So Baker Pond is greater than that. So Art requested that we flag the bank of Baker Pond, which I have had Goddard Consulting go do. Art has reviewed that, found that that delineation and all other delineation is accurate. So he hasn't seen this updated plan yet, but this plan has been revised to include that bank for the local buffer. We've also added in, and I've added some color for clarity here, the orange line. So you have the 100-foot offset from the pond and then the 200-foot offset from the pond. So that pond 200-foot offset terminates here at the perennial stream 200-foot riverfront offset. So there's a bunch of stuff, going on with setbacks and such, but this is essentially what Art had wanted to see on the plan, and we'll revise it formally for the commission. And in speaking with Art and Mary, there will be two separate calculations, if you will. One from the Wetlands Protection Act riverfront disturbance, but then also either quantifying or giving setbacks to proposed limited disturbance. And I guess we can talk about that a little bit. What the commission has done in the past, have you quantified that in the sense that you would do that with the Wetlands Protection Act total overall riverfront area, and then what is disturbed? Is that typically how that's been handled? Because there is a little bit of overlap in the two as well. So just like to get a little clarification on that so that information can be added accurately to the plan.
So your question, I'm just trying to understand. The question is, there's a total riverfront area that would fall under the town bylaw, and then
Yep.
there's riverfront area that only falls under the state bylaw. And were you suggesting a third category of?
No
Riverfront.
third category, just the two, but
Okay,
the Wetlands Protection Act riverfront area is actually less than the town's bylaw area
Right.
because of
Yep.
Baker Pond. So inherently, the disturbance is going to be less than what I am stating for the Wetlands Protection Act,
great.
if that makes sense.
So in the end, because the riverfront area is smaller for the Wetlands Protection Act, that ends up being the limiting factor, right?
Correct.
The
Correct.
town riverfront area is not
Yeah.
really impactful, except for the fact, and I think you're out of it. You're out of the 100-foot no disturb on the town level, right?
That is right. Yeah, and that was a big, part of the conversation with Art. He's like, his stance was essentially you treat that the same as you would the Wetlands Protection Act as far as that first 100 feet, which we have done.
Great. Yeah, I don't think we've actually had that I can think of, an instance where we've had both the like pond riverfront area under the town and the state in the same filing before. This is new for us. So,
Yeah. It was a little confusing in speaking with Art, but we kind of worked our way through it and, got the gist of it.
Yeah.
We also received a DEP file number. We do have DEP comments.
right.
Happy to talk about any of those or all of them, or whatever the commission would
Yeah,
like.
why don't you go
Okay.
ahead and talk through those? That'd be useful.
Yeah, I'm going to bring that over here. Can everybody see that?
No.
Okay.
Could you
So
a little, please?
what's that?
Need to expand it.
Could you zoom in a little bit on it?
Not sure I can zoom in on this. You know what I'll do? I can make a
The
let me make
bottom,
a PDF real
the
quick.
the bottom right of Word will allow you to zoom in.
Okay, yep. Thank you. So these were the DEP comments. So their first comment basically stating that there's a zone AE and a zone A FEMA flood zone, which we had shown based on the Mass GIS data layer. We have since added the zone AE elevation of 297 to the plan. And then DEP's comments was to try to map the zone A. There's no elevation associated with that. So what we went out there and did was observed where the high water mark was or staining adjacent to the pond. So that's what we have located. That generally falls at the TOA slope, pretty well defined. A lot of it falls pretty much on the BVW line. I'm just going to jump back to this PDF. So pretty much follows the BVW line, and then where it deviates in here, where it gets a little bit flatter, there's a distinct grade break, and that generally follows elevation 297 to 299 roughly. So graphically, we've shown that on the plan. I don't want to say it's irrelevant, but we're not working anywhere near it. We're not working in the floodplain. Just DEP wanted it represented as accurate as it could be. So that was that comment. The second comment was the one I alluded to a little bit earlier, where they thought that perhaps this stream could possess, riverine characteristics throughout. Like I said, we had that conversation in detail with Art Allen, your consultant today, and he's adamant that that thing stops short of where it was depicted and where that riverine, which was the former location of the stream. Once 140 was put in, that was backed up. That flood elevation, has come up, and that portion of the old stream is really within the pond now. And you can't have a perennial stream or a stream within a pond under the Wetlands Protection Act. It's simply one or the other. So that's what we talked through with Art Allen. What that would have done, if that were the case, the stream would have run all the way to 140. It would have increased the total riverfront area. It doesn't really change the project. So I will have a response to that. DEP asked whether the riverfront area was cumulative to the entire parcel or limited to this lot. So this was a larger parent parcel before. There's been several A&Rs taken out of here. We're only calculating the riverfront area on this parcel, not what has been divided out, which is what you would do under the Wetlands Protection Act. The next one is DEP has requested an additional alternative. No issue there. We'll update the alternatives analysis and provide that to the commission and back to DEP as well. So the next one is discussing alteration or disturbance within the riverfront area that have to do with stormwater structures. So those stormwater structures are exempt from the calculation. What DEP has requested that we at least state the overall alteration and then pull that stormwater component out of it, just so it's clear for permitting purposes. So we will do that. They also asked about test pits at the infiltration basins. We have since done that. We are also in permitting with the planning board, walked the site with their peer review engineer. So I have given him the updated soil data. So that information will be provided on the revised plans. The last comment was just providing a TSS removal worksheet for each treatment train. We'll do that. The treatment trains are identical, so we did one single one for both, but we'll break it out nonetheless. And that information will be provided in a revised stormwater management report. So that satisfies the DEP comments. Like I said, I'll provide formal responses, formal plan revisions, document revisions. All of that would go back to DEP as well. So hoping to have that, back in before the next hearing.
Any
Happy to
member
answer. Yep.
question?
Are they still clearing trees?
Did you hear the question from Sandy?
Yeah, who clearing trees?
I said
Oh.
that the other house lot where they, were a little exuberant there, so.
Oh, right, yeah. I think this will have probably we'll make sure the limit of work is well defined before any tree clearing is started on this one,
Right.
in the conditions, yeah.
Yeah, this is certainly bigger than a single family lot. Typical process is, once approved, the limit of clearing would be staked out. I typically would walk that, or at least give some sort of report to Mary. I do that in other towns, that the erosion control's been installed properly and that, and then, as long as it matches the approved plan, I think we're good.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from members? Questions from the audience? Audience?
Is there anybody there? There's 9 participants.
There's something in the chat there.
What's in the chat?
Oh, I missed this from 10 minutes ago, just Shannon asked if she could see the plan again.
All right, so no further questions. Do we need to schedule this for the next meeting or what? What are we doing with this?
It needs to be continued because, Travis, you guys have some more work on the finalizing the plans, right?
The next meeting or the, further out?
What is the meeting date after the 22nd? Do we have that handy?
The 13th?
Okay.
Yeah, May
Yeah, the
13th.
13th.
And then May 27th.
Yeah, I guess if we could try for the 22nd, in the event that I can't get information and it's not worthwhile, I guess I would let you know in advance so we're not wasting your time. And then we can continue it if that's acceptable.
Can you schedule that, Mary, or what time do we have available?
Let's do 7 o'clock.
There you go. Very
Now,
good.
Mary, just one quick question. Do you think it's necessary for Art to be at a meeting since we've kind of worked everything out?
Yeah, it may not be. Yeah, I'll talk to. Well, I guess once you get your plans done and he's going to look at the final copy. Yeah, it may not be necessary. It sounds like you guys had a. Sorry, I missed your discussion this afternoon, but I was gone.
I knew you were away.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good.
Thank you, Travis.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Two. Take it from here, Mike. Okay, 7:30.
Is it 7:30?
Is that, yeah.
They did request to continue, but it's still open.
So,
Do you have
Either-
to continue the thing you
We have
just
to
finished?
vote to continue this.
Oh,
yeah.
it's motion to continue.
Yeah, and I think
So
Lauren,
this-
you should read the notice anyway to open it.
Well, let's do, did we vote to continue the, Zero Mechanic Street guy?
Yes.
Or we-
No.
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 Made a motion?
No,
Let's
no.
just make a motion to do that first.
Right.
I think Sandy made the motion, I'll second.
Okay, so the motion is to continue the NOI for Zero Mechanic Street until May 22nd at 7 p.m. Any discussion?
April 22nd.
April. No discussion, vice vote, Mike, aye.
Fine.
Alan, I.
Sandy, aye.
Ann and I.
Marcella,
Marcella, I.
okay, thank you. Okay, now we can move on to East Street A&R Lot 1. So is that the one we're gonna be continuing it? But we
Yes.
need to open it first.
Mhm. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act that the Upton Conservation Commission will hold the following public hearing Wednesday, April 8th, 2026. 7:30, notice of intent filed by Garen Holland for site work and grading associated with the construction of a single-family home, driveway, and septic system off of East Street. And the applicant has requested a continuance for the next meeting.
Okay, so is it just we continue it until April 22nd at 7:20 p.m.? Their motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Mike, aye.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
Sandy, aye.
Ann and I.
Marcella, I.
Alrighty, thank you. So what time we have now?
It's time to do it.
7:40.
Excellent, right on schedule.
Look at you, Mike. Perfect.
Okay, so you please read the public notice for the Kiwanis Beach NY for sand renourishment.
Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act. The Upton Conservation Commission will hold the following public hearing Wednesday, April 8th, 2026. Notice of intent filed by the Upton DPW for the replacement of sand at Kiwanis Beach located at 99 Kiwanis Beach Road.
Is there anyone here from you?
Yes, I'm here. Dennis told me he was gonna join us, so. Can you check to see if that's,
We're right on
And
time.
you're on here.
Yeah,
I am on my, okay, well, so the project is. We dig up a foot of the existing sand. And cart it away to the DPW garage in the area behind the garage, and we replace it with new sand. We will go to the water line, we'll have wattles around the beach to keep the sand. Actually, be kind of a hole before the sand gets put in. And then we'll also put wattles around any sand that is stockpiled in the parking lot. The only thing that has come up is there's a outfall area. Which is scoured, eroded. I think Mary had suggested we might replace the sand there. We weren't planning on doing that because if we do that, I think that sand's just gonna end up in the pond.
Right, that's true.
So the idea is we're gonna replace what is the existing beach. With an equal amount of sand. We'll take it out, put it back in. Dennis tells me that it'll take about 3 days. And to the extent that there's any disturbance of the lawn area, that'll get reseeded, we won't go with it. So then we'll take a little bit of fence off to get the equipment to the beach. And then we'll reinstall the fence and take care of anything we've disturbed.
Do they ever replenish the sand that's under the water at the beach?
Not that I'm aware of. No, I was talking to John Johnson, occasionally they would bring in new sand to, in fact, replenish the beach. But this is the first time the sand has been replaced that we're aware of since the beach was created, and that was probably 1950.
So what was the reasoning for replacing the sand?
Well, the sand, of course, has got a lot of stuff in it.
Okay.
I mean, geese and other people's stuff, and so, I think the sand itself kind of degrades over time,
Okay.
becomes less comfortable.
Maybe coarser, and
Yeah.
the fines get washed in.
Exactly.
So,
And we're replacing it with masonry sand, which is apparently traditional. And as I mentioned, it will probably be 3 days. We'll rent a piece of equipment which will do less damage to the lawn area. It's not as heavy. We're going to get the sand in.
Okay. Laura and Mary, do we have a DP file number?
No, not yet.
Is there anyone else have any questions for Bill at this time? Mary, do you have any?
Yeah, no, I did prepare a review. I could pull it up, except it's mainly the pictures of the beach, which Bill already did anyway. Yeah, I think he did a nice job with it. There was just one slight area where there's a little bit of gullying, which I guess you're just gonna leave. That's fine. Or maybe yeah, you don't want to get messed up into taking away stormwater storage as well. That would be another issue with not fixing that area. So yeah, so we'll just waiting to see what the state has to say, basically.
And I mean, Dennis is aware that we have everything from the parking lot basically flowing across the beach into the Pratt Pond.
Yes.
And it's probably number 2 on our list of stormwater. This is the first one is I'm not sure if it was a stormwater fix, but the first thing I wanted to take care of was the culvert at on Fowler Street, where it's falling into the street.
Well,
So we just continue.
Yes, if there's-
Ending the hearing. They're
I
pending the number.
think we need to probably continue until we get the DP comment.
Yeah, we have to continue it. Yeah.
Okay, so, entertain a motion to continue this hearing until 7:40 on April 22nd.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
Discussion, Mike, aye?
Aye.
Alan, I.
Sandy, I.
Anne and I.
Marcella, I.
Okay, thank you, that's unanimous vote. We'll see you in next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Where is, where are we? So,
That's vouchers.
We do the, did we do the meeting minutes from January? Did we approve those? I know we did the one for 3.5.
Yeah, they've been approved.
Okay.
That was just left on the agenda.
I
It
guess.
was copied on record.
you said you did expense voucher yet?
No, we have to.
Oh, you do have
expense.
I think we got the motion for those.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
that was for the advertisements.
Financial update?
Yep.
Yeah. We did that.
Okay. So open space committee update. Bill.
I'm working, I think I'm working with town council on getting the deed created for the 2 3/4 acres in Upton from the Adams family donation. I'm hoping to get that done, completed in the next couple of weeks if possible. And then the only other thing is from a Metacomet perspective, can you provide an update on
First time.
forest sites?
Yeah, there, it's just a bit down the, I think I'll wait.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just a minute.
I'm done now.
Okay. All right.
Dennis just arrived, Bill. I don't know, we can let Dennis talk if he wants to.
Sure.
Well,
He's the boss, you have to let him talk.
No, I don't think Dennis wants to talk.
all right. Okay.
Did it without him.
All right, so I can do a quick landscape update. I'll talk about the Robertson Family Trail later, but we have a work day scheduled for the day 19th, Saturday the 19th. At the Robertson Family CR to continue working in boardwalks. I think there's a message went out looking for volunteers. We're also going to make some trail marking and some trail clearing. So that'll be our first activity this spring. And I think that's it. Anything else from land stewardship? Marcella?
No, I can't think of anything.
Okay. All right. I think that takes us very nicely to basically 7:15. So, Laura, could you please read the public notice for an NOI for the solar field at 169 South Street?
Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act that the Upton Conservation Commission will hold the following public hearing Wednesday, April 8th. Notice of intent filed by Rick Morrell for the construction of a solar farm with associated utility connections and maintaining an existing gravel road at 169 South Street.
Rick, would you like to discuss your project?
Thank you. My name is Mark Arnold with Goddard Consulting. I'm here in person, but also got my screen up so I can show everybody what we're actually presenting.
And your client.
Yes, so my name is Mark Arnold with Goddard Consulting. I'm a soil scientist. This is the notice for 169 South Street, the solar farm in the rear with Morrell Construction. This is a property that the commission I know is aware of, and several of the commission were able to visit the property with myself and a colleague and Mary, just to look at what's there existing, just to make sure there. So I'm just going to walk through a quick summary of what's existing out there, and then ask for any questions to make sure we understand the existing context of the property, and then I'll talk about what the project is actually proposing. So this is the rear of 169 South Street. It's a historically old gravel pit and sand pit. As you can see, there's still evidences of that in the aerial photograph. If you're there in person, it's very much obvious that this area was heavily disturbed. Beyond this, there's pockets of early successional shrub areas that have started to pop up on tops of old mounds of soil that was left and on the slopes and other areas that are disturbed. The area has several different resource areas. You've got a perennial river coming through this section of the property here with BVW and floodplain off of it. And then back here, you also have the other major perennial river coming down through here with BVW off it and also bordering land subject to flooding. So just for context, again, this site was delineated by Susan MacArthur as part of the delineation for the whole property. So I know the Commission's familiar with her work there, and we're using the same delineation that she did there. So just for additional context of kind of what's on the property here, you have again this existing cart path coming off of the front of the property, crossing the river here, and then into the gravel pit area here. This gray hatch area is the area outside an Army Corps easement, that basically prohibits the installation of solar panels and other activities within it. And so this gray area is the area that we can work in terms of being outside the Corps' easement. So it's an area we're allowed to actually do a solar development itself. You've got the buffer zones here in red, riverfront 100 to 200 foot in blue here, buffer zone in red here, and then we also have natural heritage habitat mapped here off of the main perennial river as offsite to the west. So those are the existing conditions, and just for context, because this area was mined out, the floodplain, although it's mapped in curves and everything else, covers this entire area, except for an area down here, which is out of the floodplain up here, and then areas way up here are outside the floodplain. Otherwise, the entire area here is within bordering land subject to flooding. So those are existing conditions as of today. Any questions before I talk about what's proposed?
I do have one question, just clarification. So the gray area, that's except for those high spots, it's all below 269.
Correct. Actually, there are 2 points inside the area that are actually. So you see there, that's actually outside. It's actually outside. There's a little,
I think there's some on the south too, Mark.
yeah, a little piece there. Yeah, sorry, and down here. So basically, almost the whole gray area is in it, but there's just there's a few piles, and there's these bottom and north and south edges that are outside.
Mm-hmm.
This dark thick line right here is my line right there. So going forward with what's proposed, so here's just a large scale of the whole project as a whole. So again, this is a solar farm. So basically, no impervious roadways or major disturbances in terms of access. We're basically going to use this existing access road, come down through here, use the existing crossing, shape down through here. This area is curved right here because we're actually using existing cleared pathways that are right here, and basically rather than having a straight shot through to our utility pads, we decided to go around this area of early successional forest to kind of preserve more native vegetation, even though we're outside the riverfront area, just to be respectful of what's there. Just basically kind of work with the landscape, but also allow us to kind of access things. So then basically the site basically proposes to basically level the entire solar field. So basically we're taking all the mounds, all the hummocks, and all that material is being removed. And that would basically be, some of it would be used right here to raise this electrical pad area slightly. And then the rest of the material would be placed down here outside the floodplain in these upper slope areas here that were previously disturbed. So that allows us to basically flatten out the area. We're not able to really kind of re-level the gravel pit because it's been cut so low. If you try to re-level it, it's so complicated to meet the BLS standards. And just for context for BLS standards, you have a removal of 54,000 cubic feet of volume in the floodplain. So that's additional flood volume that's provided from this project. So there's no net fill, there is a net reduction, there's a net removal of fill or existing material within the floodplain of 54,000 cubic feet, which is substantial. The green is your limit of work around the site. As you can see here, basically there's no work in the riverfront area except for using the existing access road. There is a slight touch in the erosion control line in this buffer zone right here. It may be in by a few feet, 5 feet, but that's about it right here. Otherwise, we don't actually have any work in the buffer zone. So basically all work is within bordering land subject to flooding. And again, basically all within the disturbed gravel Okay, I have additional sheets that zoom in. So this is the crossing here, the existing crossing with the pipe there, and then we have the solar field. Again, everything being leveled out basically to a very flat, smooth surface.
What's the elevation below area?
So the level, the proposed contours, give me just 1 second, I'm just gonna make sure I get answered this correctly. The grade in the solar farm is gonna be approximately 260. And it goes down actually to 250 as well. So 260 in the northern end and 260 in the southern end. In terms of topography, there's a slight slope in terms of topography from up here down to here. But roughly 250, 260 is where it's gonna end up being.
I don't want to get ahead of you, but so the panels are going to be elevated on posts?
They will be elevated on posts, yes. And just so this commission knows where we are, I know Mary is working on her comments. We're also waiting for Natural Heritage to issue their comments. Again, this is the area of the solar field that's within the Natural Heritage area. We're hoping that they'll work with us to be to hopefully we don't want to have a take with them. So our goal is to work with them. So we may have to revise this a little bit, but again, we're kind of restricted by the Army Corps easement. So we're hoping that Natural Heritage will work with us to kind of show that we are leaving a lot of these areas of the gravel pit available for habitat, and because it's a very low impact project in terms of being a solar farm, we're hoping that they'll be amendable to allow the project to proceed as designed. And we're still waiting a DEP number. I know it's been passed to the analyst based on our discussions with the circuit. We're still waiting for comments from them. So we would be requesting a continuance to your next meeting. But hopefully, if there's any questions that you have, we can at least gather those tonight and answer them if we can't answer them now.
I have a question. So that's in a gravel pit, so there won't be any plantings or anything underneath, it'll just be the sand or?
Yep, basically it'll be sand. I think Rick, are you able to clarify a little more as to what your expectations are? I think it's gonna be a sandwich, I mean, and upland grasses will establish in that surface still.
Okay, so it will be planted? Or it's going to let it?
So Rick, I don't want to speak without consulting you. Are you able to answer that question about are you planning on seeding underneath the solar field?
Yeah, right now we're not planning on seeding underneath. It would require us to bring in a significant amount of loam to do that. So we're in discussions on how to manage it. If we're going to have areas like the pathways between them being grass, because it just comes down to we've got like 12 acres of solar here. It would be a significant amount of material to bring in. So we're still trying to figure out exactly how we're going to manage underneath the panels.
There are ways to also like find specific species that are very hardy and sandier materials that are in uplands that would be able to handle the conditions that would be underneath the fields. So just to kind of give the area a jump start, so it's something we could definitely look at.
Look at some warm seeded grasses.
Yep, exactly. So some warm seeded grasses that are good for very sandy soils.
How high are the panels above the ground?
The leading edge of the panels are roughly 5 feet.
Any other?
Is the whole area fenced in?
The whole area will be fenced in with a chain link fence. However, the bottom will have a 6-inch opening for wildlife movement underneath. So all wildlife will be able to kind of get underneath it if they need to.
Short wall.
And we talked when we were in the field, we talked a little bit about trails. Does your plan show the potential trail? I guess it would be a trail easement. Probably one going towards the bottom towards the south and one along the north end.
So the plan doesn't show that, Rick. I believe if my memory serves me correctly, the trail starts right around here.
Correct. A little closer to the river edge.
around here, and then it comes along, and it kind of follows the wetland edge down through here, and then goes into the Army Corps of Engineering land down here.
Correct. And then it would be it would go north as well on the other side of that.
So from here it would go here, and then come up through
Yeah.
here.
Mike, I know we had it designated on another plan on a previous meeting that we attended. So yes, we can have Sean modify this plan to show that trail.
Great, thank you. And would
Rick,
you
does
be,
that-
would you be just willing to, once the trail's on there, would you be willing to grant a trail easement to the town?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Mary? That's something?
I was just going to ask, so the trail goes down towards the Army Corps land, and then did we talk about it going across the bottom along the edge of the solar field towards the river, or no?
It follows the brook or the stream, right? All the way down
Okay.
until you get down to the old paper road, if you will, that is south, that is owned by, well, I believe it's still Army Corps land, and then there's a paper road where you could cross, you can head west from there to get back to Army Corps land.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So can I ask, is a stream crossing required to do the big loop? The loop that
No.
would-
No. No crossing.
Great.
And Mike, what would the loop look like? So it keeps going, does it circle around and meet again?
It
Yeah,
would,
you would
okay.
meet back over to the West River side where it follows directly along the West River. And if you follow that directly north, you end up right into Upton owned land up near Goss Pond.
And then you hit the Goss Pond Trail.
Correct.
Okay. And then the one going to the north of the solar project crossing, does that just dead end, or does that cut over to the Goss Pond land as well?
Correct. You can take a left right there where Mark is.
Okay.
And then that actually becomes town-owned land at the top of the hill. So
Mhm.
you can set it up where you would either climb to the top of the hill and get back on town-owned land, or stay. I just didn't want people too close, to the bottom of the hill where the solar farm is. So it's probably
Right.
best to just try to, have a meander up that slope back to the town-owned land.
No, that makes sense.
It'd be a very nice walk.
Yeah, it's got to be a few miles, at least a couple miles.
Okay, any other comments at this time? So, if not, I guess we could,
We just check to make sure there's no members of the public that are virtually on that be able to just be careful.
Yeah.
Just if there's anybody there, usually they raise their hand or something, but just to make sure.
Lauren, there's no one waiting.
No.
All right. Okay, so let's propose to continue this until second okay for,
Yes, that would be great.
okay, so how about at 8 o'clock,
8 p.m.
8 p.m. on the 22nd.
Motion to continue 169 South Street, Solar Field. April 22nd, 8 p.m.
Second,
So the second, any discussion? Mike and I.
Tom,
Aye.
Sandy, I.
Ann and I.
Marcella, I.
And just one, if we don't get the DP file number, or then maybe we put one.
Yeah, we'd probably continue.
Could continue to the next
Yeah,
one.
it all depends on if there's an update from National Heritage that we may need to give you, but if there's no number, but we'd expect to get it, should be a pretty straightforward project. It's just removing material out of the floodplain. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you very much. Thank
That's
you.
Matt.
Oh, yeah, I see. Got a good camera on it.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, come from.
You did.
Yes. Good. Yeah, yeah, and I've been looking at those. I see.
They last a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
So I have a personal 2017 Mac.
Oh,
That still works.
yeah.
So you want a basic personal laptop. I can do this. So
Yeah, but they are nice.
Person vetted.
Yeah, that's good.
Thanks again.
Yeah.
Okay, next on the agenda is an RDA for 75 Halifax. Lauren, could you please read the, oh, it's been continued.
Yeah.
So is,
Continue from.
continued from November 12th.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, this one, boy, I feel like we should just close it, but you guys have been gracious to continue it for so long. I'll reach out to him again. I did not end up reaching out to him before this meeting, but typically he says he's not ready and give him another month. So, but we've been doing this for over a year now. I think we would, well, maybe I'll just tell him that he might want to just consider, because I think we already approved part of it, the trees, but not the rest of it. And I think we should just issue for the part that we approved, and he needs to just wait and submit separately for the other work. This is the guy who wanted to remove the white pines, and then he wanted to do work in the what might have been a wetland. So I wanted him to hire a wetland scientist, and he never got around to it. And that was. So. But I'll reach out to him one more time, and then.
Recommend we extend it one more time.
Yeah, I think one more time, and I'll just let him know that. Yeah.
Close it. So, I have a motion to continue the RDA for 75 Elm Street until April 22nd at 8:30.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? None, Mike, aye.
Aye. Alan, aye.
Sandy, I.
And I.
Marcella, I.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, few discussion items, Forest Heights, this first one. Board of Selectmen, it's a meeting, an executive session, Management Town Council tomorrow morning to strategize how the town is going to deal with the restriction. And I guess stay tuned. Metacomet won't be part of that, or SVT won't be part of that executive session, since we're parties in this whole larger real estate deal. So stay tuned on that, but it's progress. At least we've got town council involved, and the town council has talked to Rachel, or has emailed Rachel, or communicated with Rachel since the last meeting where she talked with us, talked with the commission. Stay tuned. Peppercorn fundraiser, Mary.
Yeah, that's coming up on the 17th, and I think we're all set for it, but please pass the word around. Mike, you may have more updates. If you talked about it at the meeting last Thursday, which I missed?
No, not really, just 17th.
Yeah, so we're doing setup at like 5:30, but you wouldn't have to show up for that. I think 3 people's enough, and Steven seems like he's excited, and we've put flyers up, and I did put it on Facebook. If you are someone who's on there and likes to share with your friends, you could, but
And then there's also a sidewalk scheduled to
yes.
follow up. And the fundraiser part of it, I think it's basically kind of devolved into a donation jar.
Yeah.
Basically, won't be a silent auction, there won't be the town committee, this legislature committee, cannot fundraise, so anything that would be collected will be collected by the presenter and then donated to the town.
Mhm.
Next, Robertson Family CR Trail Planning. We had a second sidewalk there last weekend. Went pretty well. We were able to mark the boundary. We had between dots, GPS, my GPS. We flagged the boundary. Yeah, it looks like, it's potential to put a trail there, with at least a couple of switchbacks, because there's sections of the trail that would be pretty steep near the road, and then at the other end, near the trail, existing trail. But a couple of switchbacks should do it, and we've talked with the DCR who holds the CR on the property line of the town, and I think we're gonna have a site visit soon with them next week to take a look at things, but they initially they don't see any problems with us having an additional trail easement established under the parameters of the conservation restriction. And then I just met earlier this evening with FinCom to give them an update about the of this trail situation, and I stated that there's a fiction. We will pass over the request for an additional $35,000. But we've got this alternative. Looks to be reasonable. Any question? All right. Potential violation, water withdrawal from Warren Brook by tanker trucks. Mary.
Right, yeah, so I did ask around, several towns basically they forbid anything like that, but they have it in their bylaws. And that was a town that they're part of an aquifer. I don't know that Upton has I think we have an aquifer, but it may not be on the level that these towns do. But even so, definitely everyone agreed that this was, it would come under the Wetlands Protection Act, and that we, could certainly set up parameters for withdrawals, like I think maybe Mike had been suggesting, well, maybe Pratt Pond instead of Warren Brook. And we could, I guess we could set up, one of the people got kind of interested and they were thinking about it, and they did all these calculations of the water flow in the brook. And that was interesting that you could say you could only do it, you certainly couldn't do it during drought times, or maybe only when the water flow is higher than normal, but that might be harder to permit or harder to thing. So it's something we can think about. We can certainly continue with writing them a letter asking them to file probably a notice of intent, I would think, if we're gonna have conditions and stuff like that that's enforceable. I think that would be appropriate, although I don't know how it would get recorded. But something for the board to think about, and maybe we want to think about just forbidding it in town. That's something else we could do. But then again, where do these guys go to get their water? I think there is a genuine need out there for people to withdraw water, although it maybe should be managed to some extent.
Yeah, I would suggest that, we limit them to someplace like Pratt Pond to keep it simple. So they can say, if you submit an NOI for water withdrawals from the Pratt Pond boat ramp, basically, that's gravel. That avoids like them drawing out of Warren Brook, during the middle of summer construction season when the flow is low, and
Right.
we want them messing around with it really any brooks.
Fish.
So,
Would that order of conditions be like for them for like the year or the permit, or do they have to check in at the office to get a
Right.
see how much, what drought situation we were in, or how much water was there?
Well, yeah, we'd have to think of conditions like what we would want. Yeah, maybe we want them, I mean, I don't know how often they do it. Do they notify us when they're doing it? Do we set limits? If we're in drought situation, you absolutely cannot. That's something that would take a little bit more research probably to figure out what would be appropriate. But certainly at least filing, and we could make them, they're usually good for 3 years. We could make it good for 5 years and allow, an extension, maybe a one-time extension. So it would maybe be good for 10 years and then they'd have to renew. That would be appropriate, I think, for something like this, if they were interested in doing it. And it may be enough that they would just gonna go somewhere else because they wouldn't have to deal with the permitting. But I think we can write a letter asking them to file.
We don't know how much water they take, and we don't know how often.
Yeah, we should have some reporting.
That's the thing, if somebody's just gonna take 1 or 2 tanks for a year, they can
Right.
just take crap on, but
and the other
they need it
constraint,
every week for their business, that's a different story.
the other constraint would be, I would suggest that withdrawals from Pratt Pond could only be used for projects in Upton. We don't want them,
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
no, I think that's a good idea, limited Pratt
Yeah.
Pond projects in Upton, and I don't see how you could take out enough water out of Pratt Pond to matter. I mean, the evaporation from Pratt Pond has gotta be more than a tank of truck a day, I mean. So.
Is it worth setting a limit on the amount of water that can be withdrawn at each, withdrawal, or do we just assume it's one tank full, or,
I don't think it matters unless, they're setting up a water park or something, I mean, I know. So
as long as it's in Upton, we're cool.
Wells,
Well, I don't think-
flush the well, is that what it is, they send the water down?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but I
start
think-
the well?
Yeah, I
That's
think
not
Mike's
much
right,
water.
it should be just used enough, I mean, if they're gonna withdraw,
Right.
they have to use it, enough
Don't
to
they have
fire.
that same requirement for loan? With some sort, yeah, I think they
Yeah.
have like that. If you're selling loan, it can't go out of the town.
They buy it from out of town.
I mean, that's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah, I
Some
don't,
sort of
I mean,
loan, it
it
could be trucked out of town.
somebody else, they get. Truck.
Yeah,
loads
farm
from
loan.
Hopkinton.
Maybe I'm wrong, I'm probably wrong.
But, yeah, but I mean, I think that's a good idea, Mike, just limited Pratt Pond, limited to Upton projects, I think that's a great idea.
and we protected Warren Brook and other
Yeah.
small streams where they might put their holes in, but, okay. Cool.
That sounds good.
Yeah, then they'd be free to do it, and they could just tell people who stop by, listen, we have a permit,
Yeah.
check them too.
Yep.
Okay, I think that's it, agenda wise, next meeting's the 22nd.
We have one more thing to discuss, sort of. So I got a call about trees at 80 Mechanic Street. They're close to the District 9 schoolhouse area and they want to use the parking lot. To, I guess it's like a staging area when they remove the trees, and they've already talked to. Bill got a call to DPW and they've been talking to the police, I guess, about like how they're gonna do that, but they would want to close the parking lot. So I figured we'd probably discuss that. Mary thinks that
Yes, we
SBT
did.
would have to be, well,
Okay.
Mike wasn't here.
Oh, it was in here.
Well, they wanna
What do
hear,
you guys decide?
We didn't actually decide, but I don't see it being an issue, but they wanted to speak to separate,
DPW.
yeah, SVT before, but I think there'd be a day where the parking lot would be closed. So
You can go park in my yard.
SVT does hold the CR, so I think it would be appropriate to just.
Right, so that's why nothing has been determined, but I don't think
Send them a letter.
it'd be an issue.
Yeah, like, is there any permission that needs to be given? I guess. From the conservation?
Well, I think I still might want to do a site visit, just to make sure the trees, we know where they're located and that they're not in fact in the wetland. Or even if they are, just so we know where they are.
And the trees are taken down or where,
I'm not entirely sure.
but it's,
I think they're in between like the house and the parking lot.
They're on the Knott's property.
well, they're the Knott's property.
Yeah, they just needed some place to put the equipment to get to them.
Okay.
And we said, so the guy from Templeman who's doing the work came into the office, asked permission to use the parking lot.
Oh, who wants to take it down? It's for Bill?
Yeah.
Oh,
AD mechanic.
I
is
thought it
not-
was for us because the park.
No, they're doing the job for the Knots. There's some tree which
Yeah.
they think endangers a bunch of different places on their property, and in fact, it could fall onto our property.
But Steve's driving, that the guy came in.
I have his card, I didn't pay much attention. But I think that's a great idea to have Mary visit the site before they do anything, because there are wetlands. in there.
It's only that little stream, that little.
There's this wetland there. If Mary and SVT are okay with it, can your Mary be authorized to let them know that?
Yes.
Go ahead. So it's one day, closing a lot. You know, and all they would do is just stage your equipment within the parking area.
Yeah.
It exists, okay. So I can contact Dan from SVT and let him know and see if he's got any issue.
And the reason they were talking to the police is these things are gonna need a detail. It
Yeah,
sounds like a lot of
that's-
equipment.
Blind
Well,
spot
that'd be
there.
great.
Bill.
Yeah, it's,
We've had several accidents right at the foot of that hill. Must have come around that corner. Up there.
And I had one more similar-ish call at 18 River Street. The gentleman is interested in removing 3 trees. I believe one's close to water, one's hanging over the driveway, and then one is leaning towards his house. So maybe this could be the same, like if Mary does a site visit and determines it's all right, the commission would give her permission to give them permission.
I thought we already had given her permission.
Mary does have.
She
Okay.
just does that.
She was cardboard.
Yes, yeah.
Wasn't too sure.
I think if it,
We haven't
but
talked
if it's
about
more
it.
than, yeah, if it's more than 10 trees, then we make them file.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great news for him.
So,
Yeah.
Mary, we'll check it out next week.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is-
I should be back in the office tomorrow afternoon around 2:30, 2 or 2:30, so.
Okay.
That's it for me.
All right, anything else, anybody? All right, hearing nothing, a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Second.
Aye.
All in
Bye.
favor? Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.